instead of odor or order, this is odor, law and odor. Yeah. Mm. Okay, now maybe I'll fuck it up. Anyway, let's just put this one full screen in the back. All right. Oh shit. And odor. When we last left off, oh, it's on the ground. Ooh. So, notice final investigation report. To me, the victim. This cover page, further to the above reference, fifth floor type shit. To some pork chop and a victim and other people. Background. On May 30th, 2020 at approximately 1:30 a.m. and yeah, in the 600 block, officer arrested the victim for obstruct police officer. Peace officer. Are you you reading too? Okay. Can you underline obstruct peace officer? How do you obstruct someone if you're out of the way? The victim had committed a number of violations under the Motor Vehicle Act while riding his bike. How do the Motor Vehicle Act apply to the sidewalk? Can you write that down? Motor Vehicle Act apply to the sidewalk. And had failed to stop for committed a number of violations under the Motor Vehicle Act while riding bicycle and had failed to stop for officer when directed to do so. The victim eventually stopped his bicycle and then fell to the ground. Not true. Victim eventually, okay. Officer subsequently, a second. Yeah, so approximately blah, blah, blah. So I'm arrested for obstructing an officer. And then had failed to stop. The victim eventually stopped his bicycle and fell to the ground. Well, if you want to call crashed. Officers subsequently arrested. So it said constable for arrested someone and then subsequent. How do you arrest me and then subsequently arrest me? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, double speak. Yeah. Subsequently arrested the victim on the ground by controlling his arm, turning him onto his stomach, and handcuffing him. The officer determined that the victim is homeless and suffers from a brain injury and eventually released him without charges. No, well, when you threaten someone, there's not really a release. On August 7th, the victim made a registered complaint to the Office of the Police Complaint Commissioner regarding the incident. So the incident happened on May 30th, let's say June, and then July, and another week, finally registered a complaint. So it took me 2 months and a week to actually be able to talk to anyone and figure out how to. Yeah. So, registered complaint. The victim complained used unnecessary amount of force when arresting him and suffered injuries to his knees and back as a result. And I guess mental health, they just don't consider injuries. On number 3, on October 2020. So this happened in 2020. OPC contacted, clarify the details, determined that the victim's complaint was admissible, plunged into Section 83 of the Police Act. Maybe looking at the Police Act, write a note, the Police Act, Section 83. Yeah, or just underline it. In 3, it says pursuant to Section 83 of the Police Act, should be investigated by Vic PD pursuant to Division 3. Summary of complaint as follows. The victim advised that after he stopped, the officer got out of the vehicle, yelled at him to get on the ground, and rushed him, knocking him onto his back with his bicycle on top of him. Victim stated that he was told to get onto his stomach, but advised officers he could not because of a pouch he was wearing that contained his possessions. However, officers rolled him over and handcuffed him. Additionally, victim advised that he was never told that he could be arrested. Victim advised that he was never told that he could be arrested for, and confirmed that the officer only spoke of him violating a bylaw by riding his bicycle on a sidewalk. 4. The OPC was of the view that the conduct alleged in relation to the use of force against the victim would have constitute misconduct based on the information contained in the complaint. The conduct could be potentially defined as following. Abuse of authority pursuant to Section 73, bracket 3, bracket A, bracket II, bracket capital A, of which is oppressive contact. This probably should be Section 77. I definitely want to look at the Police Act, which is oppressive contact towards a member of the public, including without limitation in the performance or purported performance of duties intentionally or recklessly using unnecessary force on any person. That sounds good, so that there's actually numbers and words to understand how to say cops being dicks and using and being more force than necessary. But we got enough dead black people and other people that prove that. Sorry. 6. I did. Oh, yeah, that was sorted. Oh, yes, for the record, notice on a legal thing, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's no 5. So right on page, yes, 1, 2, on the 3rd page, it should be 5, and then there's no 5. Why is there no 5? On October 29th. There was a Sergeant Darrell, probably another cousin Darrell another cousin Darrell of the Vic Police was assigned to investigate the man. So Darrell was investigating, making an assessment of the evidence and analysis of the facts for the purpose of providing. Oh, I got a mask on while I'm reading this. This is hard. Oh. For the purpose of providing an opinion as to whether the asshole or any other police member was in violation of any public trust offenses under 77, and to identify any police or procedural issues of concern. When the officer left, he passed it on to a special K agent, assumed conduct of this investigation. So in October, so what, we go back in August, I say, I get assaulted. 2 months later, I finally call some people. And then in October, they clarified details. So at the end of the month, they hand off to Katie, KK. And anyway, 7, March 24th. So now we have March 24th. Okay, hold on. So anyway, we had October 29th to 2020. So that was the end of October, November, December. So November, December, January, February, and pretty much March 24th. 5 months, pursuant to the Chief Constable did it. Pursuant to Section 134, the Chief of the Vic delegated his authority discipline to someone saying me, an Inspector CB of the Vic Police. So on 7, whoever's writing this says they got delegated the authority of the discipline committee. The chief constable gave authority to an inspector. May, is that a month ago? Yeah, we're in 2021. Last month, the 12th, the final investigation was reported. So, okay. Anyway, May, that's, yeah. Finally, investigation, having reviewed, I don't know what an FIR is. Final investigation report, I imagine. And satisfies that I have the necessary in which to base my assessment of this matter. I reviewed the entire FIR and satisfied that the facts of this case are generally consistent among all the evidence. I will simply provide a brief summary of this evidence below. Where there are material differences in the evidence, I will deal with those specifically. And discharging duties under Section 112, the task is to not only consider the opinion of the investigator alone, but consider all of the evidence assembled in the sphere and context of the police and decide whether misconduct appears to have been substantiated on a balance of probabilities. Alrighty. So, kids, page 1. I don't know. Is this page 1? I don't know. That's probably the cover page. I don't know. Let's go page 1, page 2, page 3. I guess we're on to page 4. Brief summary conclusion. I'm making them up. Just counting the fronts and backs. I am 11. I'm in the opinion the evidence supports the following findings with respect to the allegations appears to misconduct on the part. Allegations 1, abuse of authority for the officer's use of force against the victim does not appear to be substantiated. My reasons for this decision are outlined in detail below. Facts of the case. 13. May 2, at approximately 1:25, constable responded to a report of commercial alarm. 14. The constable arrived at the scene at 1:27, parked his marked police vehicle on a scour road with no lights, and approached the front door of the business on foot. After determining that the business appeared secure, stepped back onto the sidewalk in front of the business. The sidewalk is located on the south side. At the time, the victim was riding his bicycles westbound on the south side road at an admittedly high rate of speed. He became distracted by the vehicle and by the sight of someone appeared to him to be breaking into the business. Constable has back to him. The victim at this time did not see him coming. The officer estimated came within 2 feet of him, and the encounter startled him. Nice. He admitted he got scared. Circle that. Circle that. Number 16. Admitted startled. Victim came so close to the constable, Vera felt the rush of wind go past him, and momentarily thought he had almost been hit by a vehicle. Okay. Constable soon realized that a cyclist, not known to be the victim, had ridden past. Officer believed that the victim was traveling at a speed of approximately... I couldn't stop, so I sped up because I thought a thief was about to come after me with a badge. I was going fast. Instead of stopping, I just didn't stop, and then I was like, I didn't know what to do but keep going. Speed 15 kilometer speed more suitable for cycling on the roadway than rather the sidewalk. I know that had no rear light, did not appear to have a front light, and wore no helmet. Constable believed that the manner in which operated his bicycle on the sidewalk and cycling without lights and a helmet all constitute offenses under the Motor Act. Isn't this a time of suspended law, I thought? It was, pretty sure. Like, I'm pretty, like, the constable yelled out to stop, yelled out to the victim to stop. The constable believed that heard his command because constable noted a change in Mr. Pugh's body language immediately thereafter. Well, you can say anything to make it sound well, like... Stated he did not hear and call out to stop. The victim stated that he was wearing headphones at the time of the incident, but admitted that it was not listening to anything. How about the point that they were sound-canceling headphones? Constable did not observe wearing any headphones. Yeah, because they were under a fucking hoodie that was white. Were you gonna go do crime in a big white fucking hoodie? Anyway, the constable returned to his police vehicle and gave chase. Stated in the evidence that he had reasonable grounds to believe had committed a number of offenses under the Motor Act. As followed victim, he observed the victim ride through 2 stop signs without slowing down or stopping. The constable activated his emergency lights and observed the victim stand up out of his seat and pedal harder. Constable here believed that he had reasonable grounds to obstruct peace officer. Believed that he had reasonable grounds to arrest for obstructing pursuant to criminal code for continuing to flee. How can you continue when you don't know you're fleeing? Like, 21. Constable eventually caught up with the victim in the avenue. Constable drove beside. So, okay. There's a part where, yeah, like I went to turn right, but because they were coming at me, like I couldn't, and I wound up like catching air on constant and noticing the ground looked wet. Where am I? 21 to, okay, 20, okay. Drove beside the victim and ordered him to stop. I did not reply, but they seemed to think that I replied no and continued to ride. I was screaming no because I was worried for my life and I couldn't stop. And I was like, I can't stop. Oh no, I don't think you heard the oh no. Yeah, just underlined replied no. I didn't reply. Given that a parked vehicle stood, Connor noted that a parked vehicle stood in the victim's path. Given that the constable drove besides the victim at the same speed, the constable believed that the victim would be forced to stop. So you're putting me into a dangerous area because you think I'm wearing a helmet. Like, I'm not wearing a helmet, so you're gonna like force me into a dangerous fucking area. Nice. Constable Fair noted that Victor was starting to slow and estimated that he was traveling approximately 5 kilometers. Approximately 5. Victim was forced to stop, and our officer exited the vehicle. Advised the victim he was under arrest for obstructing a police officer. Yeah, that's what he says. How am I supposed to know that when all I hear is get on the fucking ground? $22. So we're at 23. It's constable's evidence that he had reached out to grab the victim. The victim stumbled from his bicycle and fell onto his back. So really, when I was startled and screamed to get on the ground, I said, I have PTSD. And before I could enter anything out explaining what that should have meant, he said, I don't fucking care, and charged me. So he assaulted me right as I was stopped. I was standing there. I was like, please stay back. I got PTSD. And he fucking dove at me. If there was video camera footage at this point here, you could see whether or not I was right to be under the belief that a gun was being pointed at me. For whatever reason that you need to shoot someone for not wearing a helmet? Is that what you're going to do? You're going to shoot someone because they don't wear a helmet? And they scared you? Fucking pussy. Blah, 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 blah. Constable evidence. Bass fell on his back and side with the bicycle on top of him. Hold on. Yeah, the constable stated that he had no physical contact with the victim prior to and during the fall. It is the victim's evidence from his registered complaint rushed him and knocked him onto his back. However, during his interview with Sergeant Whatever, indicated the next thing he knew, he was on the ground like a turtle on his back. 25. It is the constable evidence as he tried to take into custody. The victim kicked toward... It is the officer's evidence. Okay, where's the evidence? How does the officer have evidence? This is just that he tried to take the victim into custody. The victim kicked toward him and then used the bicycle as a shield to prevent his arrest. No, that's not true. I didn't kick no one. My feet were supporting the bike once I was in the turtle position. So there was no way to kick because then the bike would have fell on me. Kick toward him, used bicycle as a shield to him. I believe that the victim's behavior had transitioned from resistant to assaultive, so he drew his pepper spray and advised that he would be sprayed if he continued to resist. So, wait a second. 25, if they are saying that he threatened me with pepper spray, why aren't they saying that he threatened to tase me too? Does that? Oh, wait, next one says that. And victim's evidence that he did not kick, and the constable initially drew his firearm and pointed at him. Victim then said that the constable threatened to taser him or pepper spray him. No, he didn't give an option. No. He said, oh, I'm going to tase you. And the next thing, when he said, I'm going to pepper spray you, it's like, I don't want to do laundry. Ugh. Victim admitted that he never observed holding a firearm. He simply surmised he was holding a firearm based on how he was standing. Strongly denied drawing his firearm during this incident. Of course you deny it. I don't understand why he didn't say that he threatened to tase me, or anyway, that's not a big deal. Officer eventually separated the victim from his bicycle, grabbing his arm, turning him onto his stomach, and placing him in handcuffs with his hands behind his back. The victim and the constable on his back. Victim said the constable was rough with him during the arrest. Yeah, he put handcuffs on my hand and I was immediately in pain. So when someone puts you in pain, it's hard to sit still in pain. So like, if someone kicks you and then you wriggle because of the really like you react, you wriggle, or you wince or crunch like that. That's fighting. Stated in his evidence, it was rough with him. Stated evidence, the handcuffs were tight. Stated in his evidence that he ensured the handcuffs were not too tight and that they were double locked to prevent unintentional tightening. The constable handcuffed the victim. Constable Other K and Other S arrived on the scene for cover. Both officers stated that the incident was a minor one and that they did not observe use any force. They didn't observe anything. So, Constable here placed the victim in the rear of his police vehicle and then lied to the officers and said that the victim kicked him. But here it says the victim yelled and complained. Given the time of night and the proximity to residential neighborhoods, Constable decided to transport to a nearby parking lot. Speak with them there. Oh. Yeah, so it took me away from witnesses, I guess. It's okay to run through the neighborhood blaring things. Martha. Yeah. Constable discovered the victim was homeless and suffered from a historical brain injury. A historical brain injury? What the fuck? A historical brain injury. Like, my brain injury is historical. Wouldn't it be a history? Given these circumstances and the fact that the offenses were not serious, released with no charges. This time, did not complain of any injuries. When a guy hems you up and then throws you in the back, doesn't listen to anything you say, and the one thing they say is, do you want to leave? What are you going to do? Complain? Oh, by the way, do you have Band-Aids? What a fucking idiot. Okay, where are we? Too tight. Speak with their 31. At 2:03 in the morning, called 911 and requested the paramedics met him at the Red Barn. Thought the injuries he had just sustained while in custody. Subject attended Paramedics stood by while paramedics transports to the hospital for assessment. Sergeant L summarized the paramedic report as follows. Sergeant report spoke in bizarre sentences that he has had 3 head injuries in the past and that he goes from happy to angry to sad in a matter of seconds. Further documents that were further documented matters of seconds. Further documented that there were no obvious physical defects. Could move all his limbs, was aware of his place, and time. Summarized emergency room physician report noted to be alert and orientated and no apparent stress. You could circle that. Orientated and in no apparent distress. Victim was further documented as having given emotional dysregulation, is very quick to anger and equally quick to regain composure and be quite lucid and calm. I'm in a fucking hospital and I'm losing my shit. And anytime you start to lose your shit, they fucking threaten to fucking dope you up or whatever else. So I might have appeared to be lucid and calm. His victim was noted to have superficial bruises, abrasions to the anterior aspect of both knees. It was noted he had a good range of motion, normal and intact ligaments in both knees, and had no joint line tenderness. Victim did not permit a full assessment and refused to walk for the exam, and further actually was limited by his uncooperation. So when they tell you to get up and you say, no, can I just have a fucking moment? My legs are fucking hurting. Like, so yeah, did not close to and further examination was limited by his uncooperation and verbal aggressiveness. Doctor, whatever, further noted that eventually he had to abort the history exam as he was becoming somewhat unruly. Offered but declined analgesics, which I guess is numbers to call someone else, and was offered but declined the street guide and eventually was escorted out the department. It was noted 3:35. So that was discharged. So apparently 1.5 hours later from when I go or when they left, I wound up leaving the hospital and was discharged home. Yeah, nice. So I was exactly where I lived because I was homeless. I like that. Discharged home. How do you discharge someone home? You don't discharge them home. You just say, get the fuck out of here, and we don't care what happens after that. Not really. Issues to be determined. The issues to be determined is this matter as follows. Was the constable in the lawful execution of his duties during an initial attempt to stop? Was the arrest for obstructing peace officer lawful? Was 34. I'm just going through the issues determined as a matter. Was Pierre's arrest of the obstruct? Was the officer's arrest of the victim for obstructed peace officer lawful? Here, circle that lawful. Circle lawful, because at that time, circle B, 34B. Because the lawful is an interesting thing when you're in a time where the police suspend helping and doing anything about like robbery, extortion, and assault, but they're stop you for not wearing a helmet because they're scared little pussies. And was the officer's use of force reasonable in the circumstances? No. Standard of proof. In determining whether or not any misconduct appears to have occurred in this matter, I must satisfy myself that the potential misconduct occurred on the balance of probabilities. Leading case for the standard of proof is recorded by judges noted paragraph for civil law. There's only one civil standard of proof at common law, and that is proof on a balance of probabilities. The only practical way which to reach a factual conclusion in a civil case is decided whether it is more likely than not that the event occurred. Evidence must always be sufficiently clear, convincing, and cogent to satisfy the balance of probabilities test. 36. Oh, we end on a 69er. So we are just about halfway. Actually, I think we're halfway. Do you need a washroom break or anything? I'm just going to pause for a second. I wouldn't mind having a smoke break, and I can't smoke indoors, so I said we're taking a 5 for a second. I've got a glass of water. wish I could do part twos without easily. Hello? Can you hear me?